After successfully completing a test game in Australian soil, Sri Lanka proudly marched to Hobart to play the second game, starting from December 16 till 20. This is the fourth encounter between these two nations and overall 1133th test match. Mr. Leonard King and Mr. Steve Randall was appointed as the umpires for the game. Just like Brisbane, Hobart too was a new test venue for Sri Lanka. More importantly, this is the maiden test game in this Corant. Bellary Oval was located near to the beach and blessed with a scenic view. This stadium can hold maximum capacity of 20,000 cricket spectators. Sri Lanka having fond memories of this ground as they were the first team alongside with New Zealand's in 1988 to start the first ever one-day international game as well. So, Sri Lanka was honoured to play both maiden test and one day in this arena. In their maiden and only game, Sri Lanka beats Kiwis by 4 wickets and Roshan Mahanama for his 58 was adjudicated as the man of the match. Skipper Border was bit disappointed with team's performance in the previous game. Earlier it was like cakewalk to Australians, but match ended up with a draw. So, captain decides to make 2 changes, both from the bowling department front. He left out 2 pacemen, Jeff Lawson and Carl Rackyman, and brought another pacer and a local boy, Greg Chappell, and all-rounding leg breaker Peter Sleep into the squad. Sri Lanka too made 2 changes. They left out middle-order batsman Athula Samarasekara and the wicket-keeper Gamini Wickramasinghe and brought all-rounder Rumesh Ratnayaka and debutant wicket-keeper Hashan Thilakarathne. Their vice-captain Ravi Ratnayak recovered from the injury, which is a good sign for Sri Lankans. More importantly, their master-class batsman Aravinda came to his regular form in the previous match. Just like in the previous game, Sri Lanka introduced a new face to Test Arena, as their 45th Test player. Hashan Prashanta Thilakarathne was born in July 14, 1967 at Colombo. He was a solid young left-hander and a wicket-keeper. He is not a new face to the squad in one-day arena. He made his one-day debut in November 1986 at Sharjah against India. Until today he represents 14 games and scored 217 runs with a single 50. His only 71 runs against Pakistan at Lucknow he managed to get in his last game this October. Behind the wickets he took 4 catches. He represents NCC in Sri Lankan domestic games and fine product of DS Senanayak College Colombo. Arjuna won the toss again and he chose to field first to get the full advantage of the wicket with his pacemen. Australia made a steady start. Both openers put 50 runs for the first wicket.
No ball called there by umpire Steve Randall. And quite a chase for Aravinda de Silva from third slip. Now we saw some near collisions when the Sri Lankans were batting in Brisbane, but you don't expect Taylor and Boon to have a collision.
Let's have a look here. I think they're just no, I thought I thought that maybe they were both looking at the ball, but that's incredible, isn't it? They had a bit of eye contact there and still collided.
After that, Rumesh Ratnayak removed the century holder of the previous game, Mark Taylor, for 23. Taylor goes caught behind as Hashan's first test victim. Soon after, adding 18 more to the total, Rumesh strikes again and got the wicket of Moody for 6. When the total reached to 83, Boon departs as Rumesh's third wicket for 41. He looks steady at a point and he batted 100 minutes, faces 73 deliveries and hit 3 boundaries. Dean Jones sooner followed him as Rumesh's victim. At 112, Labrui removed in-form player, Steve Waugh, for 16. He hits 3 fours during his innings. Skipper Border goes next for 24 off 34 next, to Ravi. Australia was in deep trouble, losing 6 wickets for 123 at this point. Healy and Sleep built 43 valuable runs for the 7 wickets, then Healy goes for part-timer Guru Sinha for 17. Next Hughes came and hit 27 runs in 43 balls with 4 fours. He trapped to Ashoka de Silva when the total was at 207. Greg Chappell goes as Rumesh's 5th wicket and Alderman as his 6th. Peter Sleep fights alone and he scored 47 not out in 125 balls with 2 fours. Due to lack of support from the other side, he falls short 3 runs, getting his 4th 50. On the other hand, Rumesh had a fine day at the wicket. He bowled 19.4 overs, gave 66 runs and grabs 6 wickets with 2 maidens as well. This was his third 5 for an overall best figures, passing his previous best of 6 for 85 against India in 1985. Also, this passes Labrui's 5 for 133 in the previous game, as the best figures ever against Australia. Also, this stand out as second best bowling figures ever by a Sri Lankan in Test, after Ravi Ratnayaka's 8 for 83 against Pakistan in 1985. Rumesha's performance helped Sri Lanka to restrict Australia to 224 all out in 72.4 overs. It seems 224 is a low score, but considering the ground condition it will be a tricky one. Sri Lankan batters came to the middle, keep that thought in their mind. Dhammika goes for 2 runs to Alderman, next Asanka goes for a duck to Alderman again. Team sends a night watchman Ashoka next. But he was not being able to play a long innings like in previous game today. Campbell got him for 2, leaving Sri Lankan score 3 for 18. Aravinda had to walk to the middle due to this and he guarded his wicket with Roshan till end of the day. At stumps, Sri Lanka was 3 for 25. Roshan not out 18 and Aravinda at 5 not out. Second day started with Sri Lanka trailing with 199 runs and Aravinda tried to take the game away from Australian bowlers.
That one's gone between the keeper and Dean Jones in the air, and it'll beat Merve to the fine leg fence.
He's clipped that one through mid-wicket, a little bit uppishly, but timed very well indeed.
Good shot, beautiful shot. Short outside off stump and he's blazed it into the cover boundary. That was a great shot.
Really was an excellent shot. He was in terrific position.
Oh, he's got onto that one. He's smashed it away and down to the square leg boundary it goes. One bounce over the fence. Oh, beautiful shot. That was a slow one from Merve Hughes. A little leggy or googly that he bowls, and it was severely punished. He's got that one away and just over the fence down there. A six, magnificent timing. That ball was short and there's a fieldsman about 10 or 15 yards in from the boundary. Greg Chappell there, and it's just cleared the fence at square leg. That's quite a long boundary down there, so he really got hold of it. He's gone for it again, and that one's way in front of square. Bounces and into the fence. Very short delivery. Oh, he's hit that high and it's going down towards long on. Over the fence it goes, just over the top. And another six. That brings up his 50. It also brings up the 100 for Sri Lanka. And Mahanama going down the pitch there to shake him by the hand. It's been a pretty stout effort.
No ball, and that's crashed through the covers. This could be another boundary. Racing away, and that's 4 more. Glorious cover drive. He hooks it away. He's a great hooker, this little man. Away it goes. Crash. That's 6. That's another one. You beauty. 3 for Aravinda de Silvas.
Aravinda looks brilliant in the middle, just like in the previous game. He blasts 75 runs off 130 balls with 9 fours and 3 sixers in 196 minutes. He put up 126 runs for the 4th wicket with Roshan and give Sri Lanka some breathing space. That was 4th best partnership for the 4th wicket in Sri Lanka all-time list. Record still belongs to Asanka and Arjuna's unbeaten 240 against Pakistan in 1986 at Colombo. Overall, that was Aravinda's second 50 in addition to his 3 test centuries. Next came Arjuna and he had another 42 for the 5th wicket with Roshan. Arjuna scored 21 off 53 with a boundary and falls to sleep. Sri Lankan innings starts to collapse after that. It was not a good day with the bat to debutant. Hashan goes for a duck to sleep. He got opportunity to face just 11 deliveries only. When the scoreboard reaches to 193, Roshan Mahanama, the top scorer in the innings, departs as the 7th wicket. He batted 316 minutes in the middle, faces 229 balls and hit 3 boundaries for his brilliant 85. That was his first ever Test 50, playing on his 6th game. His previous best was 41 runs, which he scored twice, against Pakistan in Colombo, 1986 and again against Australia in Perth, 1988. It was unfortunate he could not turn his 50 to 100. But it seems like Roshan loves this ground. He managed to hit a 50 in the first ever one-day game in this venue against New Zealand as well in 1988. Sri Lankan tail not last longs and they balled out for 216 and 83.4 overs. Out of the wickets, last dismissal was a memorable one for Border as he beats previous most catch world record of Greg Chappell's 122.
Well taken. Allan Border has the record for the number of catches in Test cricket. 123. He goes past former Australian captain Greg Chappell with what was a very good catch coming across to his left hand, and it also gives his team an 8-run lead on the first innings.
Yes, a tremendous catch here, but you'll see where he's beautifully taken to his left-hand side. But you'll see where Rumesh just poked at that one. Maybe if he'd given some more bat, it might have flown higher and wider and he might still be there and he might have 4 runs. But that's the end of the story. The Sri Lanka and Australia lead.
Kangaroos managed to safeguard their low score of 224 by restricting Sri Lankan innings to 216. So, they have 8 runs advantage in the first innings. Sri Lankan bowlers looks like don't want to lose the grip. Labruie removed Boon from his first ball for duck. And Rumesh came to the picture by taking the wicket of Moody for 5. Australia's score reads as 2 for 10. Australian Kemp made a brave decision by sending Merve Hughes as a night watchman. But Merve managed to keep his trust and safeguard his wicket till close of play alongside with Taylor. At stumps, Australia were 2 for 25. Taylor not out 11 and Hughes not out 9. Third day starts. Merve managed to continue his batting along with Taylor, and when he got out, he scored 30 off 44 balls. He hit 2 boundaries. Both put 67 runs for the third wicket. Skipper Border walks to the wicket next and he laid the foundation with Taylor to take the game away from Sri Lankan. Both of them put 163 for the fourth wicket. That equals the highest partnership for the fourth wicket against Sri Lanka. Taylor and Border stand with Ajharuddin and Gavaskar's 163 in Kanpur at 1986. Taylor falls as the fourth wicket to Aravinda. He batted 291 minutes and faces 212 balls and hit 12 fours for his 108. It was his 4th century in tests. Jones came next and he put another 13 runs before Border goes for 85. It was a memorable one for him.
Nicely placed there by Border, and that brings up his 50, his 46th half-century in Test cricket, which takes him past Gavaskar, who had 45, was in the most in Test cricket.
He marked his 46th Test 50, passing Gavaskar's world record of 45 Test 50s. Finally, when the scorers were at 253, he trapped to Aravinda. Then came the informed batsman while he managed to stay till end of the day with Jones by lifting totals to 387 for 5.
Just pulled that and pulled it well before.
Over-pitched on this occasion. Steve Waugh down the track. Not quite 4 and picks up 3.
Here's Ahsoka bowling his leg spinners, and that one driven straight down the ground. Lovely shot, running down towards the boundary down there at deep long on. Very well played.
Will beat both short cover and cover, and that's going to be very close to 4. 4 more to Stephen Waugh. Fine cover drive. Fine shot, beautifully played. 5 for 314.
It's a good shot. That's 4 to Waugh.
Steve Waugh has decided he's going to give that second new ball some. And there's Steve Waugh's 50. They'll get an easy 3 the way these two run. Just what Australia needed. A quick 50 from Steve Waugh.
It's good stuff, though. Good cricket.
That's 4. Great shot. Tremendous timing there from Steve Waugh. Graham LaCroix is that deep backward square. Not much point in bowling there to Steve Waugh. Grip for the sideboard, that lot.
Four runs. Vacant third man area. So a poor start for Champurka.
They both put unbeaten 134 for the 5th wicket so far. Jones were at 51 not out. But the evening goes to Waugh and he looks brilliant and already in 77 not out at stumps. 4th day started. Steve Waugh starts to continue his aggression.
And that is a lovely stroke with which to bring up your 3rd Test match 100. It's his 17th first-class century. It's been a super innings.
Well, it was stunning batting display by Steve Waugh. He dominates the innings by scoring magnificent 134 not out off 177 balls in 234 minutes, including 14 boundaries. He was in fine touch since the Ashes series, and this century marks as his 3rd and 1st in home. On the other hand, Dean Jones finally came to form by hitting his 7th century. He scored 118 not out off 178 balls in 252 minutes with 6 fours. This was his 2nd century against Sri Lanka after his knock of 102 at Perth in 1988. Both players put unbeaten 260 runs for the 5th wicket, again a new record against Sri Lanka. Previous record belongs to Allan Border and David Hook's unbeaten 155 at Kandy in 1983. With that performances, Australia decided to declare their innings. They scored 5 for 513 in 125 overs. That not gave much joy to Sri Lankan bowlers. Aravinda, as a part-timer, took 2 wickets for 65 and Rumesha again took 2 wickets for 123, leaving his wicket count to 8 in the game. This was the 7th time a Sri Lankan bowler took 8 or more wickets in a game, and his 3rd occasion. This leaves Sri Lanka to chase 522 runs to win the game in roughly 1.5 days' time. With a huge total in front, Sri Lankan batsman walks to the pitch with a do-or-die approach. First innings highest scorer, Roshan goes for leg before the wicket to Campbell for 5, which is an early blow for Sri Lankan team. Asanka joins Dammika next and at 47 for the 2nd wicket. In 86 minutes including 2 boundaries, Asanka scored 20 off 62, and finally Hughes took his wicket. Sri Lankan in-form batsman Aravinda came next to join Dammika. They both put another 41 runs for the 3rd wicket. Dammika scored 45 off 123 with a boundary. Just like in the previous game, he falls short before his maiden Test 50. Dammika's brother Arjuna joined next to Aravinda. He got a hard time early of his innings. Arjuna saved from the close LBW call.
Oh, well bowled, round arm. Oh, that was good bowling, and it must have been very close. Hughes bowled one of those yesterday and took the batsman by surprise.
Let's see if this pitch is outside leg stump. Ooh, very tight. We'll need to have a look at that one again, I think. Look at Merve. Saying, how did you not give that out? But it's his angle. He's bowling over the wicket to the left-hander, so if it's anywhere round about leg stump, I'd say it's pitched just outside the line of the leg stump, and so therefore cannot be given out. So, borderline decision, but a good decision, I feel.
So, he managed to save his wicket till close of play by scoring 25 runs not out. On the other hand, it was another good day to Aravinda. He managed to score 64 runs not out, which was his 3rd Test 50 and 2nd in the game. At stumps, Sri Lanka was 166 for 3. Still 356 runs behind and only 7 wickets left. Final day began. After adding 21 runs to the previous day's total, Arjuna departs as the 1st wicket in the morning. He scored 38 off 91 with 3 fours, and trapped 2 hugs. Without adding any additional runs, Sleep came into the action by removing Aravinda for 72. He batted for 190 minutes, faces 133 balls and hit 12 boundaries. Aravinda managed to add just 8 to his previous day's score. Hashan goes next for 6. He too fall for Sleep like in the first innings, but he managed to open his account in Test Arena by start scoring runs. When he departs, scorecard shows 6 for 208, pushing Sri Lanka into deep trouble. Vice-captain Ravi took the charge next. He batted with Ashoka and built much-needed 124 runs partnership for the 7th wicket. This was the second best partnership by Sri Lankan pair. Aravinda and Ravi put 144 in the Brisbane game, which is still Sri Lankan record. Ravi scored his 75 in 187 balls within 220 minutes with 13 fours. That was his 5th Test 50 and second highest score. After adding 5 more runs to the total by Labrui, he got bowled out to Hughes. Along with him, Campbell came to the game by removing Ashoka for 50. Playing in his 7th game, this was Ashoka's first ever Test 50, passing his previous best of 22 in Brisbane game. He batted 226 good minutes, faces 189 balls and hit 4 boundaries. Rumesh and Champika added another 11 to the total, and Rumesh goes as Hughes' 5th wicket of the game. Playing in his 20th game, Hughes marked his 4th 5-wicket haul in a test. It took almost a year for him to make this. He took 8 for 87 against West Indies at Perth December last year before this time. Also, this was his 2nd time against Sri Lanka. He took 5 for 67 at Perth back in 1988. Finally, Sri Lanka bowled out for 348, after batting gallant 141.4 overs. So, Australia won the 2nd game by 173 runs. Despite the loss, Sri Lankan star player Aravinda de Silva was nominated as the man of the match because of his all-rounding performance. He scored 75 and 72 with the bat and took 2 wickets for 65. He looks really solid in this series. That concludes the Test series. Sri Lanka lost, yet it was an honourable defeat. They fought well like they never did before under the captaincy of Arjuna. That concludes the first phase of the series. World Series down the corner next. Let's see what has happened in the first game in our next episode.